Let him cook, let him cook, let him cook. Welcome to the Badger Den. We have some amazing stories to get into. This is going to be a hot one. Let's look at specifically what's going on in Israel, Iran first. Then we're going to get into some more fun stuff. And finally, we're going to see how based you are. And are you in line with the smartest man in the world? Yes, he has spoken. So first up, a lot of hubbub has been made, including Tulsi Gabbard and Trump supposedly going at it a little bit as far as disagreement about the intel reports coming out of Iran and how close they are to getting a nuke. Tulsi Gabbard has come out to reaffirm her record that she did not stutter when she spoke. She stated very explicitly in her testimony that is being taken out of context that America has intelligence that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months. That was in her testimony. Again, the media is ignoring it, trying to make it seem like Tulsi Gabbard is not in agreement with the Trump administration. If they decide to finalize the assembly, President Trump has been clear that cannot happen, and I agree. You don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Why? Because they're going to be the type to use it. They don't want hundreds for MAD, mutually assured destruction. They want a couple to give to, the Houthis. See what they do with it. A little couple party poppers. Give it to a Hamas. See if they have fun with it. That's what they want to do. They want to give it to another organization who they know is going to use it and give plausible deniability to themselves. It's like giving a gun to a convicted felon who has murdered 15 people. You know what that guy's going to go do, and you just gave him the gun to go do it. It's not very smart. I want to highlight a few things that are not being shown in the press to seem like Iran is not as big of a threat as it is. Having said that, I do not want American lives on the line. I do not think that we need American boots on the ground. We do not need to go down a forever war. I am firmly against American lives being put at risk. Right now, there's anywhere from multiple reports, 600 to 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium between 60 and 70% enrichment. Why is that significant? Because there's just a little bit more in that centrifuge, and they've got the requisite threshold to make a nuclear bomb. The amount of 60% enrichment has increased by at least 40% in the past 6 months. So it's not like they're hiding it. They're actively trying to quickly spool up a bunch of extra enriched uranium to which they could potentially make a bomb with. Nuclear power plants only require 3 to 5% enrichment to work. I mean, that's a pretty significant change between the 60% they've got on stack. I believe some reports are even up to 70% enrichment. And again, once you start enriching it, and you get more and more concentrated, it doesn't take much longer to go from 60 to 90. It takes a lot longer to go from 0 to 30, a little bit shorter going from 30 to 60, and pretty quick to go 60 to 90. So they're doing this on purpose, knowingly they can just throw that batch in the oven, take it out, and they've got enough to make some fissile material. They're excited. And it takes approximately 100 pounds to make one nuclear warhead, hence where you're getting this report of they can make between 60 and 90 6 to 9 warheads. There we go. France, under the prior agreements, the agreements that they have signed with the EU, the US, China, and Russia, France was allowed to receive uranium from Iran, enrich it, and then send back actual fuel rods. So they didn't have to do anything. They could just mine the uranium, send it to France. France gives them, hey, here's your nice fuel rod, pop it in the oven, you're ready to go. But that's not what they're trying to do. Also under the agreement, Iran is allowed to enrich their own uranium up to 3.67%. They're about 20 times shy of that. Iran's nuclear power distribution, 2%. They're only getting 2% of their power from nuclear. So what are they doing with all this, you might wonder? The next big piece that comes into the puzzle is building the warhead. Where are they building the warhead? I could not find anything on that. As far as I know, it's currently unknown. They've never tested a nuke, and people are freaking out about the 5.1 earthquake. So let's break that down a little bit. We don't know where they're at the mineralization to be able to make a warhead. That is totally true. There are some legit claims out there saying, well, even if they had enough to make fissile material, they couldn't actually launch a nuke at us. Very good argument. However, what do you think they're going to do with that enriched uranium? Do you think they're just going to sit on it? No. they're going to give it to one of their compatriots to go make a dirty bomb. Is that what you want? No, it's not. They still have enough uranium to make a hydrogen bomb. So even though they could not miniaturize it to make a small warhead to put on a ballistic missile, they could still make a legit nuclear bomb and blow some stuff up. And that is not something you want to see happening in the Middle East, regardless of where you are on the conflict. They've never tested a nuke. This is another legitimate claim. Very true. Recent 5.1 earthquake. The earthquake is not a nuclear test. They can tell that somehow via seismographs and being able to look at the actual earth movements and tell, okay, this was a nuclear test. This was a legit earthquake. This was a legit earthquake. Just happens to coincide with an ongoing conflict. So having said that, I'm pretty sure Trump's 2-week window is basically saying, Israel, finish the job or we're going to finish it for you. Or Iran, Ayatollah, step down or we're going to pull the muzzle off our dog. I do not believe Trump is going to put boots on the ground. I sure hope he doesn't. Again, he's a populist first. He knows American people do not want this war. So let the man cook. Some sad news first, more sad or difficult news, serious news before we get into the fun stuff. Britain's gone. Britain's absolutely gone. So right now, they have passed a suicide bill in which they're allowing assisted suicide. This is also seen in Canada. And I believe the numbers in Canada are quite stark. I believe they've started out at 4,000 people killing themselves per year via assisted suicide and growing. It's growing exponentially right now out of Canada. And I'm assuming that this will probably happen in the UK with their woke pattern baldness. The legislation, which was passed by a narrow margin, would allow mentally competent, terminally ill adults in England and Wales with 6 months or less to live to choose to end their lives with medical assistance. Now, why is this an issue? So a long time ago, it was considered a conspiracy on the right if you said that the UK, via their socialized medicine, would have a death panel. And they would probably bring that to the U.S. if we continue on the march of socialized medicine. Well, guess what they have in the UK? They've got a death panel. The original plan required a court approval for assisted deaths, has been now replaced with a requirement for review by a panel, like a death panel, including a social worker, oh wow, that's legit, a senior legal figure, and a psychiatrist. So you basically got the people there that are just bureaucrats who are going to pressure somebody into killing themselves. That sounds nice. That's lovely. The National Health Service could pressure terminally ill patients into an early death to save NHS money. That's where they're headed. Why else is Britain gone? So this has kind of flown under the radar on the right, which is insane because this is nuts what they've done. They've basically gone the way of California, D.C., New York. I don't think New York, sorry, went the way Minnesota, where they're allowing abortion up into birth. So little girls in the birth canal sees light, and there's a doctor who's like, nope, we're going to cut you up, because that's what they do. Go look up third-term abortion. It is barbaric. It is brutal. And if you sign off on that, you have no soul. So if you are a liberal, get out of the Democratic Party. You do not want to sign off on late-term abortion because it just shows that you worship Satan. I said it. It's true. Look at these headlines from the AP. UK lawmakers vote to decriminalize abortion amid concern about the prosecution of women. I wonder why. NPR, UK Parliament bans women from being prosecuted for late-term abortion. So you're making it to where it's okay for them to kill their child. UK Parliament votes to decriminalize abortion, repeal Victorian-era law. Oh, that's right. That's right. Handmaid's Tale all over again. That's right. Forcing you to have those babies. It's not like you made that decision and then reaping the whirlwind for it, and now you want to kill somebody for your dumb decisions. No, that's a life that you're killing. Not only that, they're literally allowing up until birth. So literally you're supposed to go to the hospital the next day, give birth to your little bouncing baby boy, and you're like, nah, I'm going to cut you out. Sick, barbaric, nuts. Why else is UK gone? Well, they're expected to be about 10% Muslim by 2040. They're currently 73% white. So supposedly the most white, pasty place on the planet Earth is only 73% white. Yeah. They're expected to be only 50% white by 2060. And Ireland is expected to be 50% white by 2080. Whitey, we gone. Sorry, guys. We've had our run. We've kissed the wokeness, and we are going to die from it. So good job, lefties. You have succeeded in destroying England and Ireland. Kiss them goodbye. Hopefully we can learn from it. Pure blood and proud. Yes, you should be. You should get that tattooed somewhere. Japan releases Bombshell Vax versus Unvax data on 18 million people. What it shows is that essentially the more vax you get, the more likely you are to die in the first 3 to 4 months after your vax. Scary. That's right. Stop killing yourself. Journalists has come out on X. If the government won't do it, then the people should investigate the mass deaths of Japanese people. Oh, look, somebody who cares about his fellow kinsmen. Database of 18 million vaccinated people revealed for the first time. The interview reported with a member of the House of Representatives, Kazuhiro Hagaguchi, Dr. Yasufumi Murakami. Sorry, I ain't, banana and I ain't yellow, so I'm working with me on that. Cut me a little slack. Dr. Yasufumi Murakami isn't just some fringe voice. He's a respected professor at the Tokyo University of Science, where he serves as vice director of the Research Center for RNA Science. So, big brain. He holds a doctor of pharmaceutical science from the University of Tokyo and has authored over 100 scientific publications. If you know what that means this dude's legit. It is not easy to do a peer-reviewed paper and get it published, and he's done it 100 effing times. This is a smart big brain dude. According to the doctor, there was no noticeable spike deaths in among the unvaccinated. There was no noticeable spike protein deaths among the unvaccinated. But among the vaccinated, a clear peak emerged, especially between 90 and 120 days after the shot. Again, this is 18 million people. This is a conclusive amount of statistically significant information here that is irrefutable. A significant peak forms about 3 to 4 months, he said, pointing to the vaccine as the likely cause. It's probably due to the vaccine's influence with adverse reactions occurring, leading to the death of the person. Here it is. Here is the mortality rate of people who are unvaccinated. Look at those pure blood staying strong and vaccinated. Specifically, they looked at people who also got multiple vaccines. So here came the graph that was impossible to ignore. It showed a clear pattern. The more vaccine doses a person received, the sooner they died after their first shot. Dr. Murakami noted, we found that as the number of doses increases, the peak of deaths appears faster, meaning the more doses you get, the sooner you're likely to die within a shorter period. The risk increases with more doses. If you are killing yourself right now, stop it. He added, if the vaccine had no toxicity or didn't induce death, there wouldn't be a peak. That's the point. This is a key discovery. The more doses, the more the peak shifts, indicating that toxicity accumulates. The toxicity overlaps. The more doses you receive, the faster people die. The vaccine is cumulative. The more you give yourself, the more you're poisoning your body. The shift he's talking about is the peak shift to the left. So the more people got vaccinated, the more this peak shifted to where they died sooner after their booster. I calculated the mortality rates from the data. If you were under 19 and you got the shot, it gave you a mortality estimate of 0.14%. If you were under 69, so 20 to 69, essentially a percent. And then if you're over 70 and doing this to your body, not looking good. 8.7% is what I calculated. Again, these are my calculations from the raw data from the 18 million people in Japan. I would not want to do this. This is not good. Save your grandma. All right, I'm going to upset some people, but Christ is king. But this isn't just me saying it. This is the smartest man in the world saying it. The world's highest IQ holder says he believes Jesus Christ is God, the way, the truth, and the life. Can I get an amen? Christ is king, he says. Dr. Jung-Hoon Kim, founder and president of the United Sigma Intelligence Association and a South Korean scholar widely recognized as having the world's highest recorded IQ, estimated at 276, has publicly affirmed as his Christian faith. As the world's highest IQ record holder, I believe that Christ is God, the way and the truth of life. This dude, he's got so many credentials. I didn't even want to list them here. I just wanted to get into it. If you're interested in who he is, look him up. He is legit. You can see some stuff here if you want to pause. Official world record holder, World Memory Championships, World Memory Sports Council. It goes on. He's in the Guinness World Records. He's legit. 276 IQ points. I would like to share my idea, my thoughts about the afterlife. I think our consciousness continues beyond death, definitely. Our consciousness is not just brain activity, it is something deeper. I think you believe this. Science says that when the brain stops, our consciousness disappears. You believe this now, but quantum physics says that information never disappears. Never. It only changes form. Quantum entanglement suggests that our consciousness is part of a bigger system beyond the physical world. For laymen out there, and I'm one of them, quantum entanglement means you get a tennis ball over here and a tennis ball over here. You separate them by billions of light years. You shake this tennis ball, the other tennis ball shakes. So in other words, there are two pieces of data or particles that are connected. You do one to one, it affects the other. So what he's saying is that what we're doing here on Earth is getting saved or backed up in the cloud, as it were, as he references in here somewhere. And that information then is stored wherever God is or wherever heaven is for our next life. Some scientists and philosophers believe that our world may be a simulation created by a higher dimensional being, which I believe. If this is true, then death is not the end, but a shift to another reality. Just like a video game character appears, disappears, but the player still exists, our consciousness may continue in a higher dimension like this. Many people with near-death experiences say they saw their bodies from above or felt warm light and deep peace. They say they felt warm light and peace. If reality is part of something bigger, then death is not the end, but a transition, a shift to another reality. Our death is not destruction, but change and shift. Humanity will keep searching for the truth about what comes after, the afterlife. Just super powerful. Also, NDRs, if you guys are unfamiliar with that, and you're like, oh, that's a bunch of hoopy, let me know. Type it down in the comments. I can go in depth about it, where there are legit, medically confirmed near-death experiences, NDEs, not NDRs, where people were able to observe things even though they were being monitored. Their body was being monitored, and they had zero brain activity. So they were clinically dead, zero brain activity, but they observed things outside of their body and their surroundings that they could not have known were happening. Again, let me know. Excellent stuff today. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Mouthy out.